Hello and welcome. Lanita, the Scrappy Grandma here. This is my current weekly update of the craziness that my life has become. Um, I don't even know if anyone's paying attention or watching or not, but the father said, live out loud. Live out loud and share what's going on. So I had a really weird week. A really, really, really weird week. Um, I had where sorry, I'm considering how much to share. So the father had me go to what I thought was a naturopath. I had been dealing with debilitating pain in my gut and the other parts below that. I have had challenges throughout the years with major gut issues, and a lot of it, some of it is adhesions. So I'm what they call an adhesion producer, and so when I've had abdominal surgeries, the scar tissue goes wild in there and starts like connecting my bladder to my spine and my bowel to, connecting all my organs to each other. And so that becomes this web, and then it becomes really uncomfortable because like if you sit a certain way, it tugs. If you've ever pulled a scar, it tugs and burns, and that's what's happening inside. And then also what I was eating, you know, I could eat rice and pasta because if I ate anything heavy like meat, as it would be digesting, um, that would tug and pull the scar tissue. So it was to the point where I was taking, up to four or more tramadol, which is an opioid, every day, which then makes things worse because it constipates me. And part of the challenge is I had from that, I had a prolapsed prolapsed rectum. A little bit of TMI, but he said live out loud, so I'm living out loud. So I was just in horrific, everyday horrific pain, and then we're trying to prepare to bring my dad home, and so I'm up on my feet a lot, having to do a lot of stuff, get a lot of stuff done, and I was in agony. It was really, really, really difficult. And a friend referred me to a naturopath. And I went and I saw this person last Tuesday. She did not end up being a naturopath. And this is where the story gets weird. And I'll share as much as the father wants me to share. Um, she ended up being what's called an energy body worker, I guess. She doesn't really have a title. She said the father, that God has given her a gift. And it was interesting too, because there was a woman leaving right as I had come in, her, person before me. And she was giving her a hug and she said goodbye. And she just looked at me and she said, this, Dee Dee has saved my life. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And I'm scanning the place and seeing things that I wouldn't normally stay in an environment like that. I call it woo woo. Um, but the father just kept saying, stay, and I'm like, you want me to stay in this? And he's like, yeah, stay. And so like they did a foot detox bath, ionizing foot detox bath. Um, I believe I believe in that. I believe it works. And she told me what I already knew, that I have a sluggish lymph system. And I know that because I have swollen lymph glands all the time on my left-hand side, and I have them now. And so I need to drink my lymph tea, which is really nasty. Um, but anyway, she gave me some lymph tea for that. And so we did the foot bath, and then she took me into her room, and things were questionable. And I was in deep prayer. And interesting, I'm going to back it up. The week before, Rusty and I were praying about all of this because the things that were going on. So I had a hysterectomy back in my 30s, and a year later, I was in such horrible pain, just like I've been the past couple of weeks. And they couldn't figure out what it was until they finally went in and do exploratory surgery and found out that, it took like 3.5 hours of them cutting. And I think they had to have like four different doctors in there because each one took care of their place, to remove the scar tissue, and from my colon, from my intestines, from my bladder, from my spine, all the things. But they never told me that it would return. Never once did they say that, this is an issue. And usually after you've had surgery and air has been, you know, the air's gotten to all that area, it goes crazy. Didn't realize that. So you fast forward until what, 2014. After I lost 80 pounds, I had a tummy tuck and it was awesome. I felt great. But then the following year was having gastro issues and went in and they had to remove 18 inches of my colon from diverticulitis. Like I said, I've had chronic constipation and issues my whole life. It's part of the connective tissue disorder. And so anyway, they went and um, this doctor said he literally had to take all of my intestines out and put them on a table and go through them, section by section. And there was parts where that had been ruptured and that actually had looped around and scar tissue had grown over it and sealed it closed. There was just all kinds of craziness in there, he said, basically. So, he cleaned it all up, but never told me that these things would return. Um, just said it was successful. We took out 18 inches of your colon, blah, blah. Okay. So that was 2015. Come 2017, I am in agony again, like I have been the past 3 weeks. And I'm thinking it's digestion. I'm thinking, and then they found a hernia in the scar from the doctor who did the colon resectioning. And so in talking to this new doctor, this gastro doctor, she's like, there's something else wrong because, the hernia is not going to be causing that. There's something else wrong. And so they went in, they did surgery to fix the hernia. That's when they found that I was completely webbed up with, and they spent hours and hours and hours again. And where I'd had the tummy tuck, it was just thick. And she said she literally had, it was like chipping away at cement, trying to chip away all of the scar tissue. And and when I had the first, back after my hysterectomy, when I had the first scar tissue removal, they said they had to leave a spot because it was in a really precarious place near my bowel. And they didn't want to run the risk of nicking my bowel. Well, I guess she left it also. So I was in the hospital for a couple of days. Then they sent me home. And that night I ended up vomiting and a mess. And I remember calling the doctor, the on-call doctor at 3 o'clock in the morning because we were scared. I was a mess. And he was like, well, call them as soon as, they get in at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, aren't you the on-call doctor? Aren't you supposed to do something? He's like, yeah, no, call your doctor at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I wait till 8 o'clock in the morning. I've been vomiting all night and they're like, get down here immediately. Well, I had a bowel blockage. That one scar that they left, my intestine, I guess, slipped through it and then blocked it off. So I had a bowel blockage, ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks, and my intestines quit working. Everything just stopped. I had an NG tube down my nose, down into my stomach, pulling up everything up out of there. And when they say that your stomach is your second brain, it is so true because of all the toxins that had built up in my body. Um, I was hallucinating, and Rusty says it was the medication too, but I was on a lot of medication. Um, but yeah, it was traumatic, traumatic. I still have, I just, so I don't like doctors. I don't like hospitals. And I basically have told Rusty, I will not go to a hospital unless it's like to set a bone or something like that. So fast forward to this, I'm looking at going, I've got adhesion pain again. I know it. It's been 9 years. Normally it only takes 2 or 3 years. It's been 9, but it's bad. And then with the prolapse, I knew that the only way was surgery for both of these things, but surgery means more surgery. And so I, Rusty and I both prayed. Actually, Rusty prayed that the Father would help us to find a non-surgical way for me to be out of pain, especially with my dad coming, because I mean, it's hard enough to do what I had to do with just Rusty and I here. Having to take care of my dad with that kind of pain, I was just unimaginable how I was going to be able to do that. So, um, back to Dee Dee. Dee Dee was doing a bunch of weird stuff. Go outside, outside, out. Dee Dee was doing a bunch of weird stuff, and I kept praying, Father, do I exit? Do I run? Do I leave? And he's like, no, stay. I'm like, this is so weird. Okay. And um, we went through a whole session, and um, as I was leaving, she got me detox tea. She got me iodine for my thyroid. Um, and cell salts, which are homeopathic. Okay, so these are things that I have actually been looking into anyway, because I do believe that our whole earth was, that the Father created everything with frequencies. Everything's energy. It is. And it all has frequencies. And I believe that there's healing that is used for healing. Like, I don't believe crystals have healing powers. Crystals don't have any powers at all. They're rocks. But I do believe they have healing properties, like resins, like frankincense, like amber. They have healing properties, not healing power. The only healing power comes from above. But he did say that, the plants and stuff are on this earth for our healing. So, and I know this is going to ruffle feathers, and I'll probably finally get some comments on my videos if anybody watches these, because I brought this up in our Bible study, and it definitely upset a few people. Trust me, it upset me because this is a type of place I don't play in. I don't do yoga. I don't practice. When I was a child, my mom was going, it was the 70s, and she was going through stuff, and she took us to learn transcendental meditation, and with Maharishi, and I had to repent of all of that. So I don't play with certain things, but then I do believe, like acupuncture, acupressure. I do believe in different things like that. So anyway, things that I had been looking into anyway, researching, and have no time to research currently, none, zero, because we are on, like right now, my husband's out there keeping himself busy while I take care of this. And then we are running down to Lowe's to pick up hopefully the last of all the stuff, building supplies we need. And then we've got to get back up here and just bust it. We painted yesterday. We put some of the flooring in. It's just been go, 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 go. I don't have time to be sick. I don't have time to be in pain or research. So, like I said, she gave me a lymphatic, tea. And then she used a tuning fork, which actually I had been looking into anyway, because I remember as a kid, that the tuning forks, the frequency, they actually, and it was, the tuning fork was actually in vocal class, but the tuning fork, I know that there's healing. Um, it can be used. It has healing properties, the vibration. Like I said, I know this is controversial, and I was saying the same things. I've always, it's like flee from darkness. I didn't feel any darkness, and I kept praying, Father, Father, I didn't feel any darkness at all, zero darkness. So, um, what else there was just several different things that was like, this is actually stuff I've been looking into. So anyway, then just as an end of a matter of fact, on the way out, we're finishing up business and everything. And she's like, oh, and by the way, I moved your organs up to relieve the pressure from your prolapse. And I'm thinking to myself, and honestly, I have to be honest, through this whole thing, I was like, whatever, okay, whatever, you know, total disbelief, you know? And when she's like, "Oh, I lifted your organs up." So, and she didn't touch me, barely, barely didn't touch me. And so I'm like, whatever. Okay. I walked out to my car and I'm getting in my car and I'm like, and I had been in pain when I went over there. And I purposely did not take any tramadol when I went over because I wanted to have my full pain present so that I could explain it to who I thought was going to be a naturopath. Anyway, so I didn't take any tramadol, no pain relief at all, and my pain was gone. Now that was last Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 days. I am pain free, have been pain free, and have not taken a tramadol since I left her office on Tuesday. I can't explain it. The only thing, well, we've tried to come up with some ideas of why the Father would use a woo-woo to heal me, and I cannot figure it out. But he did, because the adhesion pain, the prolapse pain, all of that gone. He answered our prayers and led us to a non-surgical way for me to not be in pain. I don't get it. I'm praying that he'll help me to understand, but I don't. Okay, so that was Tuesday. Um, I had, my daughter had me watch the grandkids a lot this week because bless my sweet daughter's heart, she is taking care of her husband's grandfather who's been in and out of the hospital with surgeries. And so, stop. So, she's been needing me to watch the kids more here recently. Um, Plus trying, and then she'll come over for an hour or two and help me pack stuff up because we're going through a lot of stuff to make room for my dad. So it's either going to thrift store, going in the trash, or going into a tote and going out into our new shed and being stored until we have a home for it in the house. So this is what my week has been. And I've been having a lot of fear. And this was before I went to the woo woo. So people will say, "Oh, see, it jumped off on you and you have fear." No, I've been containing my fear ever for the past month, ever since I've been knew that my dad was coming to live with us, because I don't know this man. He was not around. He's not my daddy. He's never been a daddy type. We just didn't have anything in common, and we just I don't know him. And now him and his two cats are going to be living in my home. And I've been like having some apprehension, terror, lots of crying. Friday, I was able to go out and go grocery shopping and got out in the sun and listened to my favorite, favorite playlist. Recommend all of you go there. It's on Spotify, Agape Love Music. Brought such peace and healing. Um, so really have been going through a lot of emotional, mental, processing all of this with my dad, coming on top of exhaustion from, knowing we have this much time to have everything ready for him. So, um, I it's been a challenge. And then last night the father was like, we've I've been practicing all week long of taking my thoughts captive when things I start to spiral out. It's like, nope, nope. He's brought this about. He will equip us. However, he will equip us. And I have to just stand on that and believe that he will equip us. And we will have everything we need to do this with my dad coming. And so last night, he's like, you need to change your mindset. You need to change your mindset. You're going in this worrying and in fear when instead be excited. You get a chance to know your dad. Finally, you're 63 years old. Thankfully, he's still alive. Embrace it. Embrace being a servant for me to him. My father is not saved. My father doesn't believe in God. He might believe in something, but I don't know. He said, he always says, I tried religion once, it didn't stick. He went to an all Catholic boys' school. So, as far as I know, he did tell me, though, that my grandmother, his mother, who I was never able to meet, sorry, that makes me sad. But fortunately, I've gotten to know my cousin, and after all of this drama and everything is over with, I told her I really want to know more about my grandparents. So anyway, um, he said that my grandmother, when she was about 55 years old, started reading the Bible. And so that gave me great hope. Anyway, this is an opportunity to love someone. I mean, he's told me some stories about his childhood. When his parents got divorced, his dad took his older brother and his mom took his sister, and he lived with his mom, but his mom didn't like boys. And so sounds like, he was really never loved. And so this is an opportunity. And so my prayer is that the Father teaches me how to love him. Sorry, love him well. So that is my goal. That is my prayer, is that I can love him well. So anyway, if you can pray for me, that the Father will show me how to love him well and to serve him and not pick up offenses, because he's very critical and it jumps on me very easily, to where I'd start getting critical myself and start complaining and then get pissed off and then get irritated. And I don't want to be that way. I don't want to do that. So if you can be praying for me, man, I want to find something to clean, to clean. Should have done it in the beginning. Oh, whoops. Didn't help it. A little bit. All fuzzy. Anyway, yeah, if you can be praying that the Father will teach me how to serve and love my father well, and my husband at the same time, because I don't want to take out anything on my husband. Okay, I've got to pause. Pause. Sorry, that was my daughter. Um, Grandpa's going in for another surgery tomorrow, and so I need to watch the kids at 6:30 tomorrow morning. I'm so thankful that they're only 9 minutes away. So anyway, got to wrap this up because we got to get to town and everything. And it's just more, like I'm just being obedient. The Father told me to live out loud and to share my story for whatever his purpose he has for it. So I'm being obedient and I'm sharing my story. Um, I, I probably will get comments about the practitioner I went to. I get it. I felt the same way, and it is what it is. I don't understand it. I don't understand why or how he did it the way he did it, but he did. And every day I wake up not in pain. I praise and worship him and thank him for his weird ways of how he does stuff, because he healed me. He healed me. I don't understand. So be blessed. Have a fabulous week. Um, I've been taking some videos of the progress, and I'm not sure if I'll be upload them here to YouTube or to my Instagram or to both as I have time. So anyway, be blessed, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.